didn't see myself my whole life in a 9-to-5 job. That wasn't just me. Just took a leap of faith, and since then I don't regret it. We have so many AI tools and they are evolving so fast. It's just mind-blowing. You have to adapt. Otherwise, people will use it, and if you don't use it, it won't be profitable anymore for you.
Welcome to episode number 31 of Print on Demand Wisdom. Today I interviewed Daniel, who's a full-time print on demand seller with a tier 30,000 Amazon merch account, and we discussed a lot of topics regarding AI, including how it's changed the industry, how Daniel utilizes different AI tools to create high-quality t-shirt designs at scale, but we also cover topics such as his Amazon ad strategy, what sorts of niches he targets and how he finds them, as well as how to come up with new and unique phrases for your shirts. So why and how did you get started with print on demand?
Well, it was in February 2019, and let me tell you a quick story about that. It was a Sunday morning, and I was still in my bed, and I was checking the YouTube app, and there was this video that was suggested to me by the algorithm, and it was titled like how I make money on the internet selling shirts, or something like that. Mm-hmm. It was by Aaron from his channel Homo Economicus. And it was this famous onion video. And in this video, he showed the process on how he takes the graphics from the vector platform and just uploads them to the Spreadshirt website. And yeah, he showed the basic process, and he made quite a good amount of money back then, because for the new viewers on your channel, back then you could make a lot of money on Spreadshirt because the royalties were really nice on Spreadshirt until they cut it a few years ago.
Yeah, now it's terrible, right? It's like $2 per t-shirt or something. What was it back then, just for reference?
Yeah, it was about 6, 7, 8 euros. Wow. Or something like that per sale. It depended on the product that you sold. It really you could make a lot of money on Spreadshirt, but then they cut it a few years ago. So it doesn't make any sense to go into Spreadshirt today, I would say.
And after you saw that video, you started your Spreadshirt store straight away, or?
Yeah, basically I created the account on the same day and started uploading my first shirts that I created with Affinity Designer, which I still use today, but only for my YouTube thumbnails. And they were really basic. They were just 1 or 2 words on the shirt, like stronger or faster. They were aimed to gym goers, and none of these ever sold. But
like most of our first designs,
they were terrible. But then I worked my way in, created more designs, learned the basics of design creation with Affinity Designer. And for the first half year, I created the designs by myself and learned the basic principles. And still to this day, I can recommend doing that.
How long did it take you to see some traction? Because you said your first designs never sold. How long did it take to get your first sale, maybe, if you remember that? And how long did it take to actually get like a significant amount of sales, do you think?
I would say so 1 or 2 weeks. I saw some sales, and then then I got some more sales, and just kept going. When I started, I didn't make that much money on Spreadshirt, but you build your portfolio. Yeah, you build your portfolio, and then you hit some trends or some designs that sell really good, and then I started making quite a good amount of money on Spreadshirt. But Aaron was already selling shirts on Amazon, so he also said it was important to go into Amazon merch. And so I tried to apply to Amazon merch, and of course I got rejected.
And you're from Germany, right? Just for reference, because I think people assume that if you live in Germany or in the US, you just get accepted instantly and it's very easy. But that wasn't the case for you.
No, no. It was hard back then, and even back then they already said, no, it's too hard to get in. You can't get in. It was hard back then, and it's still hard today. But you just have to keep applying.
How many times did you apply?
10 times, and on the 10th time I got accepted.
Wow, that's crazy.
I had a little party. Yeah, it was basically 4 months. 4 months from kept applying until I got my account. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. So we'll go into a little bit of like tips to get into Amazon merch in a later on in this interview. But to get back to your story, like you were doing this all next to a job, I'm assuming.
Yes, I'm a civil engineer, and I was doing this besides my 9 to 5 job. And few years before that, before I started the merch business, I already developed some skills. I read a lot of books about finance and stuff like that, and I knew that I had to make a second income, let's say it like that, or to make more money on the side, to not be dependent on just one source of income. And I think that's very important. I didn't see myself my whole life in a 9 to 5 job. That wasn't just me.
Yeah, it didn't resonate with you. I definitely got that feeling as well when I started working 9 to 5. That it wasn't really for me, or I didn't really get on well with the concept of like having a boss that tells you everything exactly how you have to do it. So the business aspect drew you to print on demand, or did you have any like design background at all?
Not really. In my free time, I designed some stuff for parties, but it was not much. Or way back then, I designed even a sticker for a cleaning solution for a friend of mine, because he wanted to start. He also wanted to start some kind of side business. So that was the first time when I designed something like that. I think it was Illustrator or some alternative, and that was quite fun. So that was my first point where I got that. When I see shirts or when I see designs that are online, or when some people are wearing shirts, I always thought to myself, well, this placement of the font looks really awful, or this doesn't look really good. So I think I had an eye for that, and that was very beneficial for the business.
Okay, so you were already looking at this before you started.
Yeah, quite a bit, but I didn't really had that in mind to monetize this.
Yeah, nice.
But sometimes you just have to start a business, test it, see if it works for you, and if you have fun with it, and then just keep going.
And now, are you still a civil engineer, or?
No, I'm not working as a civil engineer anymore, but I always tell my parents, okay, I'm still a civil engineer. I still can go back to this job. They have the certificate in their living room hanging there, so they can be proud. But I don't work as a civil engineer anymore since April 2024.
Nice, well done.
I had to make a decision in April. It was just too much having basically 2 jobs, this print-on-demand business and 9 to 5 as a civil engineer. And then I just took a leap of faith, and since then I don't regret it.
That's awesome. And it shows persistence as well, as you started back in 2019. And now finally, about a year ago now, you managed to get or managed to quit your 9 to 5, which is awesome. So let's circle back of the struggle of getting into Amazon merch, because that's what a lot of people are still struggling with to this day. And you attempted many times to get in, but you got rejected. So first of all, one question I hear a lot, and I wonder if you know the answer, because I got accepted first try. so I don't really know this. But do you have to change your email, your phone number, your personal details? Does all of that have to change every time you apply?
No, you don't have to change. You only have to change your email address, but the other details, they can still be the same. You can even use the same application text for your further applications. But once you got rejected, you have to change the email. And I would always wait for the mail from Amazon. Either you get accepted at the first try. I never heard that. or or you reapply with a different email address, but the other information has to be the same. I even read in my comments the question if you should use a fake name, but don't do that.
I wouldn't say that either. Now, I think, well, you need a new Amazon account, right? I think to apply, and that's why you need a new email, as far as I'm aware. And sometimes people get stuck because the Amazon asks you to provide a phone to kind of do the two-step verification. But I think you can get past that. You can skip it, I think. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, you do not need to set up a phone number every time. Then if you didn't do it and you managed to get in with the same details, that's promising.
I can't remember that there's a two-step verification in that process. But it could be that you had to enter your telephone number, but I don't remember it. In my case, I only changed the email address.
So did you use the same text every time, or did you test out like what works best? Do you know, like, do you have any idea why you managed to get in 10th try, or do you think it's all just work?
Me personally, I think it's just based on pure luck. But my application text was basically the same. I think I changed it a bit, and I was already selling on Spreadshirt. So you had this little box where you could paste your profile in, and I did that. And basically, I wrote something like, I'm a successful Spreadshirt seller, and now I want to sell my t-shirts on the world's biggest marketplace, or something like that. I kept it short and simple, and I would advise that new users would do the same.
Not to overthink it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do not overthink it. Yeah, that's the main part. Yeah.
Maybe for the people who are still waiting to get accepted and keep applying, what do you recommend to them? Like, should they just wait for Amazon, or should they try something else whilst they're waiting?
Yeah, I thought of that question. I would probably start an Etsy account, an Etsy store, because you will get the experience from designing and research and stuff like that. While waiting, I would start an Etsy store or something like that.
Yeah, not just sit around, do nothing.
Yeah.
At least if you create some designs, do some research, you will have something to upload once you get accepted.
Yes. You want to test these designs if they're actually selling, if the marketplace responds to them, and you can do that with another store. And I think Etsy is quite large, so I would start there. You don't have it that easy on Etsy like on Amazon Merch, because you have to do the customer support and stuff like that. But you don't just want to sit around, like you said.
And at least on Etsy, there's some more potential, right? I think you can you could try other platforms, but you're less likely to make sales now on something like Spreadshirt. And if you make a sale, the royalties are quite low. So that's why I think Etsy is a good alternative whilst you're waiting.
Yes.
So in your opinion, how has AI changed the whole print-on-demand world?
I think it changed massively. When I started, the basic principle was that you would hire designers from all over the world, basically, and have them create the designs. And now it's basically all AI. Now the process would not be that you would look for designers. I wouldn't advise to do that, but you're looking for a high level of automation, and maybe you're looking for prompt engineers instead of designers. So that's the evolution, let's say. Of course, there's a lot of software out there. I would decide for an AI art image generator.
Do you have a favorite one right now that you use the most, or?
And my favorite one is right now ideogram
Uh-huh.
because it gives you really great results that are suitable for POD, for our POD designs. And I also like Flux One Pro. It also gives you great results, and you can easily create designs with phrases. And that's what I do right now. Before I only uploaded graphic-only designs with Midjourney. Now I build my whole process around designs with phrases. And in ideogram, you can do this. You can do this in bulk with the biggest plan, and so you can easily streamline your processes. And it's also quite reasonably priced. It's not that expensive like Flux One, for example, where you pay 4 or 5 cents per image.
Have you worked it out how much it is per image with the top plan on ideogram?
Yes, I have a spreadsheet for that. It's
Oh, nice. I
it's
want that spreadsheet.
it's in one of my videos.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, in the ideogram 2A videos where I compare the prices. It's under $1 per image. When
Wow.
you, it's like I think it's a tenth of a cent or something like that. And you always have to think, well, ideogram is credit based, but you always get 4 generations, which is quite nice because there might be some errors in the AI generation. So you already have 4 to choose from.
So, what's your current workflow then? When you found a niche, you want to create some designs for it. Where do you start and where do you end?
I picked a niche, and I'm not going into big niches. I go into small to very small and medium niches, let's say. I used to find these niches with ChatGPT. So I let ChatGPT niche down. I just basically put in the big niche and told ChatGPT to give me sub niches of the sub niches.
Okay, nice.
And I did that. And recently I got Flying Research. And in Flying Research, you can basically do this with one click. You you enter the main niche, and then you will get a list of sub niches together with the Amazon search volume, which is really handy.
You're talking about the AI research, I think,
Yeah,
right?
the AI research tab. Yeah,
Yeah, I really like that as well.
yeah,
I think I saw your video about this, and
amazing.
I do think it is very underrated. It kind of
Yes,
feels like ChatGPT on steroids. A
yes,
little
yes.
bit.
It's like ChatGPT just made for us POD sellers. You can think of it like that. But you also get the Amazon search volume, and you can't get that on ChatGPT or when you just use Productor. So you can filter these niches at the first step. And
Yeah.
then I take these niches and I still enter them on the Amazon Marketplace and have Productor running to see the total number of products or shirts in this example. I just enter the niche and plus shirt. And then I see the total numbers of products. And then I take a look at the shirts. If they are having a good BSR, so of around 1 million, or it depends a bit on the niche, of course. And if there are shirts with reviews. So that tells me there's a demand for it.
So
And then,
1 million or less BSR, some reviews,
yes,
and you look at the search volume, not the search volume, the search results. So is there like a certain number you hope for, like below 5,000, below 2,000? Because you said you look at quite small niches.
yeah, for me, I set the total number of products to 7,000, but that's just the number that I managed for me. But if you want to go into smaller niches, uh, this number may be not that high for you. Or if you want to go into bigger niches, you can make this number even bigger. Well, the advantage of that is that there may be a higher demand but there's also more competition. This is basically, I got that from Merge Professor. He's got really great content and he does the same strategy. So I applied this strategy to my workflow and it works quite good for me.
Nice, nice. So once you've found a niche, then with ChatGPT or flying research, what's the next step typically? I can guess which AI tools you're going to use, but what's kind of the process there right now?
When I have the niche, right now I create 40 designs per niche, and then I put the niche into Mumble from the AI research tab from Flying Research, and Mumble is awesome because you just enter the niche and then you will get all the different kinds of phrases like memes, jokes, or puns. Basically, these phrases are perfect for POD. You can't use every phrase, but you can use a lot of phrases that Mumble gives you.
So do you think it's better than just going straight to ChatGPT and asking that for phrases?
I would say not even better, but it saves you a lot of time. Maybe I think you could do this with prompts on ChatGPT, but it will be much more time consuming. So
Yeah,
in Mumble, you just enter the niche and then it gives you the phrases. So
yeah,
that will
yeah. You
save
don't
a
have to
lot
actually
of time.
prompt. You don't have to prompt. And I also
Yeah.
think the phrases in Mumble, from my experience, whilst they're not all perfect, you tend to get better ones for POD more easily.
Yes, yes, yes.
I think ChatGPT, the likelihood of getting a good phrase is like a lot smaller compared to Mumble because Mumble is trained, I'm guessing, on like
Yeah.
funny phrases for shirts, right? But yeah, that's interesting. So you go there for idea generation.
And the good thing about Mumble is that you don't have to re-prompt again and again on ChatGPT because sometimes ChatGPT tends to forget something that you wanted, these phrases, and it goes like phrases that you can't use.
Mm-hmm.
And with Mumble, it's really easy and simple, and it stays on this line.
It always stays in a certain structure, whereas ChatGPT will just
Yes.
do random stuff you don't want it to. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, and then what comes after Mumble?
Then I pick the best phrases that Mumble gives me, and then I paste it into a spreadsheet that I prepared. It's Google Sheets. I really like Google Sheets because it's fast and simple. It's not that clunky like Microsoft Excel. Yes.
Ah, okay, okay,
Yeah.
nice.
And then I have the phrases. Then I have these phrases in the spreadsheet. And what I then do, I use ChatGPT with this, let's say, a master prompt. Basically, that's a prompt for the prompts. Um, and in this prompt, I describe how a good how a good POD design looks like, where basically the instructions that you would give to a designer or that the designer already knows in the best case, of course. And with this prompt, I just have to enter the niche and the phrases, and then ChatGPT gives me the prompts that I then can use for ideogram.
Nice.
And this works quite good for me. Of course, I'm always adjusting this master prompt, but for my workflow, it works quite nice.
Oh.
Then
So,
I
so just to check if I got this right, so you have a very, very long prompt that kind of tells ChatGPT the principles of good t-shirt designs for PUD, and
yes,
then you give it that long prompt with the niche and the phrases you found in Mumble, and then it creates prompts for you that you can use in ideogram straight away.
yes, yes. That's the basic process. Yes.
Do you have a video about this on your channel?
No, not yet.
Okay, sounds interesting.
This is world premiere. Yeah, and then I copy the prompts and I paste it into another Google Sheets, and then I export the CSV file, and then I upload it in ideogram, and then ideogram does its magic. It generates the designs,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also quite fast in the bulk generation.
It is, yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
it's amazing. And yeah, then I have a lot of designs, and I put these designs into the AI background remover to remove all the backgrounds from these.
Which one is
And
that? Which one do you
oh
use?
yeah, it's pixelcut.ai.
Hmm.
I basically recommend this one in every video from me because it's just amazing. You
Hmm.
you put in a design. It works best with designs with a phrase. And I tested a lot of AI background removers, and this was just the best and
Okay,
gave the best results.
I'll
And
have
it's
to
also
test it.
free.
I don't think it's free as well.
It's free as well, yes. I have the premium version so
Okay,
that I can do this process in bulk.
but you can
But
do it with one image at a time for
yes,
free.
you can basically use it one after another, and it's free. And
Sweet.
it's also really great. Yeah, I do this in bulk with the premium version, but it only costs like $60 per year. And I remove the backgrounds, and then I open these designs in an image tool. And basically, I then take a look at all the designs and pick the ones that are good. Well, basically, that have no spelling errors or design mistakes, and basically look the best that I want to use.
I'm curious there. Do you
Yeah.
ever have designs where the background is not properly removed?
Yes,
Okay, so
definitely.
it's not perfect, but you just get rid of the ones that had a still bit of background left, and you take the good results.
The good ones, yes. There's another tip that I can give. Um, Most people generate their designs on a black background, but you mostly have black parts in your designs. And when you have it on a black background, it's very hard for the AI background remover to distinguish between the background and the graphic itself, or like some parts of the design.
Mm.
And what I then do, I also made some tests, of course. um, I include dark gray background into the prompt.
Nice.
So I also tried gray background, but then it sometimes generates black fonts, and we don't want that on black shirts, of course. And if you use dark gray background, you get a dark gray background, and the AI can easily distinguish between background and the graphic itself. So you get way cleaner results when you're doing it this way.
That's an awesome tip.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Sometimes you get a dark shadow or a black shadow around the phrase or the graphic element, but in my opinion, it doesn't look bad. When you're having this design on a black shirt, you can't see it. It will be printed, but you can't see it on a black shirt and on the markup. And on the other colors, you will have this black shadow around it. But in my opinion, it doesn't look bad. It looks quite nice. And the advantage of this is the fact that you can use these designs on basically any color because
Mhm.
you mostly have this black outline. Not all the time, but mostly you get this black outline.
Okay, nice. So you've bulk generated the graphics, you've bulk removed the background, and now you've filtered out the best ones. What
Yeah,
comes next?
yeah. I pick the best ones, and I do this. I do this by myself because I want to know what I upload on my account. But
Mm.
right now we are talking about strategies for very high tier sellers that want to do this process in bulk. When you're doing it just for a few designs, I would do it manually. So I pick the designs, then I copy these designs that I want to use in a second folder. And then I upscale these designs. I use Topaz Gigapixel. It gives great results. I do it in this order. I mean, I first remove the background and then upscale it because in my tests, you get this really clean outline that you don't get if you first upscale it and then remove the background. And then I bring these designs into the merge format.
In bulk? Do you do that in bulk as
In
well?
bulk, yeah, in bulk, yes.
How?
Uh,
We need to know.
you can do this process in Photoshop or Illustrator. You can create a macro for that. I have this app that's called PhotoMill. It's a Mac app, and
Okay.
I've set it's basically a bulk image editor, and I've set it up for the merge standards, and you basically just drag and drop your files in, your upscaled files, press convert, and it gives you the correct format, the correct merge format.
Is that like a plugin you have to pay for Photoshop or?
No, it's a standalone app.
Okay.
But it wasn't that expensive. But this app is for Mac only, I think. But maybe there are some alternatives for Windows.
Probably.
And then I have these images in the merge format, and these AI generated graphics tend to get really large. So maybe like 30, 40 megabytes or something like that. Most of the time, I put them into an image compressor that's called Cesium. And with this image compressor, you can also compress images in bulk and for free.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Cesium, it's
And
called.
the quality still looks good after compression.
Yes, yes. It's amazing. I don't know how it works, but you can zoom in, you can take a look at these images, and they still look amazing.
And just for clarification, the reason we're doing this for the people that don't know is because I think I've noticed as well, especially with Topaz Gigapixel, the graphics usually, once you've upscaled them, they'd be like 20, 30, 40 megabytes sometimes, depending on the detail in the graphic. The limit on Amazon Merch is 25. So you want to get around the limit, and ideally you also don't want to have a lot of massive files on your hard drive.
Yeah, that's the reason. You don't want massive files, and it's easier to handle smaller files, and you upload them faster. You don't need that much space on your computer, and I think Amazon is happier with you when you don't upload that huge files. Because as a merch seller, you can upload unlimited designs on draft, and yeah, you're basically clogging up the Amazon servers with your designs. And designs didn't used to be that big when you created them or when you had designers created them, because you had the graphic in the vector format, and you also have the font in the vector format.
Yeah.
And these designs were only just 3, 4, 5 megabytes or something like that. Now you can easily get huge files like 30, 40 megabytes.
Nice. So once you've compressed them, I'm gonna guess you probably upload them in bulk, right?
Yes.
Right. So talk me through which tool you use for that.
I prepared a spreadsheet in Google Sheets. Well, first in Google Sheets, and then I copy this into an Excel sheet, and then I upload these designs with Flying Upload, which I use for years now. Basically since I basically started for 6 years. I had it running on my old 2009 Mac that was standing besides me here, and now it's running on my other MacBook that I just got rid of and got the new Mac Mini right here. And I like to have it separated on a second system, so I don't have to worry about keeping it running.
Well, it's running in the background somewhere in a different
Yeah,
place.
I think you can do that, and some people even have set up I think it's called a VPS, like a remote server, like basically a Windows that runs somewhere on a server, and they set up this VPS, and you basically have a whole computer on one window, and it's running Flying Upload, for example, and you can easily shut off your computer because it's running on a server somewhere else.
So you can access it when you're at work or when you're traveling. You can still open the other computer and manage flying upload.
Yes,
If you
yes.
if you're like a proper nerd, you can do, you can do that.
I'm a nerd, but not that of a massive nerd.
Okay. Trying to defend yourself there. So that sounds like a really like optimized process for doing things in bulk. And you said you do about 40 designs per niche, right?
Yes, yes.
But there was also a lot of steps. I think some people hear that and they're like, with all of these steps, doesn't that still take forever? So do you have like a number in your mind, roughly how long it takes for you to put out like 40 designs like this with this process that you've now found?
I target 10 niches per week
Uh-huh.
times 40 designs. And I basically do this whole process in 1.5, 2 days. Then it's ready. Then it's finished. I do
Okay.
this now. I do this by myself, but I plan to outsource this process.
Yeah, if I imagine doing 10 niches times 40 designs all manually, like designing from scratch like we used to, that would definitely take longer than 1 or 2 days. So
Yeah, yeah,
it
definitely.
might sound like these steps are quite, a lot of steps, but if you think about it, it's probably still a lot cheaper and quicker than doing it with a designer or starting with a blank canvas, kind of the old workflows, right?
Well, basically, we are doing this as a business model. And I think if you are doing this whole process with designers, it's not profitable anymore because people will use AI art generators for this business, for this merch business, or for any other POD website, and you have to adapt. Otherwise, people will use it, and if you don't use it, then you won't. It won't be profitable anymore for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like regular business, but it's
It's
like for our business, it's basically on steroids
yeah,
because we have so many AI tools and they are evolving so fast. It's just mind blowing.
it's almost like saying in Formula One, like, no, I really want to drive with the Formula One car from 10 years ago. I still want to use the same one, even though now the ones that are new are way faster and have way better technology. I still want to use the old one, and I'm sure I win the race anyway. It's kind of, I think it's the same mindset. I'm not saying that you have to be like an AI nerd, like Daniel is a little bit, but
Mhm.
I think if you completely ignore it, you will lose out on speed, efficiency, and quality in some ways, and that can be detrimental to your business. So, I think another topic that you've covered in a video, which you want to talk about, is AI design traps.
Mhm.
So, what are some of those?
Well, first of all, the basic ones. The AI may get the spelling not absolutely right. So I would always recommend that you take a look at the design and go word by word over the design and like read it completely. And once you got that, you will take a look at the graphic itself. If there are some weird graphic elements or like things in the graphic that don't make any sense, like the hands, for example, but these got way better over time,
Mm.
or some other elements, or something like a perspective error.
Or legs, like legs coming out of the wrong place with
Yeah, yeah,
angles.
yeah,
Yeah, there's sometimes
definitely.
little details that are easily missed. And I've even missed some in my videos when I've been creating a design recording and then there's like an extra leg or something.
Yeah.
So you have to watch out. It's
then
easy
you
to miss.
get then you get the comments, hey, this design was not perfect.
Yeah.
Hey, Philip,
Exactly.
why you can't sell something like this? Um, yeah, that's the most important thing. And don't rely on the AI completely. You want to take a look at the designs itself by your own eyes or by the eyes of a freelancer. Maybe you can do this with, maybe later in the future, you can do this with OpenAI Vision or something like that, probably. And or the designs will get that perfect. But me personally, I always want to take a look at the designs that I upload on my merch account. What most people forget in the design creation with AI is you always you always have to keep in mind that you have to remove the background, at least till today. And you can't generate designs or graphics that have a rough outline, for example, or where it's really hard to remove the background, like a watercolor style or something like that.
Yeah.
So I like to prompt clean lines, vector art, or cartoon style, or something like that. And I always like to prompt the graphic on a dark gray background because, yeah, as we talked, it's easier for the AI background remover to distinguish between background and the graphic itself.
Yeah, so one of the design traps with AI is definitely making it too hard to get the background removed, right? If you don't prompt it properly. Is there any other ones that we haven't discussed yet? Or
the obvious mistakes in a design creation or in the design itself, like extra legs or fingers, you have that, but you also have to take a look at the details because even when you upload the design on Amazon and someone buys it, you make a sale, but you don't want to sell the stuff because either the buyer sees this mistake when he gets the shirt and then you will get a return, or someone else will see this mistake and then you will also return the shirt. So you don't want to sell bad AI stuff. So that's very important. And you always want to have the background removed in a proper way. So that's the most important thing right now.
I think it's easy for people to assume if I use an AI, the graphic will look good enough. I'll do an automated background removal and just upload it. But yeah, it's very easy, I think, to create a graphic that does have some mistakes and has a very weird like background with like a foggy effect, half transparency, and then it might print terribly, just get returned. So there is definitely some things you need to watch out for. Because AI does still make mistakes, right? Just like us humans make mistakes. And
yes.
Forget that.
Still not perfect.
Something has 5 legs. So we already talked about what sorts of niches you target. I'm assuming it's mostly evergreen. You said smaller niches, right? So, or do you also target trends?
My approach to the niches are basically, I also got that from Merch Professor. He only targets evergreen niches and niches which are not trending, I think. I can tell how I adapted it. So I only target evergreen niches with a good BSR and ratings ratio that we just talked about. And these are just evergreen niches. I don't target trends. I don't even target events. And these are just basic evergreen niches and not these common big niches, but more of these sub niches or like sub niches of the sub niches. Some may say you don't make that many sales in these niches, but they add up. They add up when you have a lot of these in your portfolio.
I think that's important to note. There's like definitely 2 approaches that work. It's not like one or the other is the best one. And I think Merch Professor is a good example of that because his strategy is fill out as many like lower competition or smaller niches as he can, evergreen ones. And he's doing extremely well for himself. And yes, there's also examples of people who do the opposite, who just enter massive niches with less designs and they do really well for themselves, but both approaches work. You can find kind of which one you most resonate with, but it's not like this one is a terrible idea or that one is a terrible idea. They can clearly both work.
Maybe you can also make this dependent on your tier. If you have a lot of slots to fill or you can fill, then it makes more sense to do, well, first of all, bulk processes and you can test a lot of more niches. Well, if you're in a lower tier, I would always recommend that you follow trends to get out of these lower tiers because they are really a pain. And I also did the trends back then to get out of the lower tiers. So you The research, the workflow that I talked about, I would only do this when you're in a higher tier. When you're in a lower tier and you don't have that many slots, then really put your work and your focus into each designs.
Which tier do you think you would recommend starting it with? Like, are we talking tier 1,000, tier 10,000? Like, when should someone, do you think, like start shifting from more individual quality designs and then shift to, large amounts of bulk process designs?
If I had to name a tier, I would say 6 or 8,000 tier,
Mhm.
6 or 8,000. Yeah. Then you have a good amount of slots because you need these slots to test various things. And in the lower tiers, you don't have that many slots. That means you can't test much.
Which ad strategy do you use?
I have a very simple ad strategy.
Mhm.
Um, I only focus on the standard t-shirts and on the American marketplace, at least for the new shirts that I upload. Because right now I only upload my designs on the American marketplace, but on all products.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Is there a reason for that? Or
yeah, only I think it's because I only do my research for the American marketplace, and it's also the fear of trademark rejections for some weird trademark. The rule number one for me and my account, my merch account, is always account safety. I really stay away from all the gray areas or something like that. I keep it really, let's say, generic
mm,
to really stay away from these trademarks or the risk of trademarks. I also don't use bullet points because of that, because there could be some word combination or something like that that could lead to rejection or takedown or
uh,
removal or something like that.
so just title and brand name. That's all
Yes,
you use.
yes. And this works quite good in those smaller niches because there are not that many keywords to work with. I get enough space to put in all the keywords that are relevant. And yeah, talking back to the ad strategy, I only advertise the standard t-shirts on the American marketplace, and I put them in lottery campaigns for this whole weekly batch. That means 400 designs. I know Tamas will shut down this video right now when you close the
Yeah,
video.
we'll report us to YouTube.
Yeah.
This is not allowed.
um, but it just works really good for me.
Mhm.
Um,
So you do
because
batches of 400 in one lottery campaign, or do you put them all in the same one?
no, I do batches. I basically only put these 400 in one campaign, and then I create the next campaign.
Nice.
These are basically lottery campaigns with a bit of a higher bid. Not that means not only 4 or 5 cents or so. Uh, it depends on the placement.
Hmm.
And yeah, they work quite good for me. And you always have to keep in mind that you don't set them and forget them. You always have to manage these ads
Mm.
because otherwise you will burn your money. And it's easier for me when I just advertise these shirts on the American marketplace because yeah, it's kind of like this Pareto principle that I do for my ads and also for the listings. And yeah, I just don't want to spend all day in my ads console.
Mm.
You of course, I may miss some sales, but the time that I gain is greater than these, let's say, lost sales.
Hmm. Hmm. So you mentioned bids there. I think a few years ago people would have said start your lottery campaigns with like 5 cents, right? It was
Mm.
very low amounts. When you start setting up a new one now, what's typically your bid and the placements? Do you know that? Because I think people are often wondering, use lottery campaigns, but what's the exact bid?
Yeah,
What can we start with right now? I think
magic formula.
you can be plus minus, like you don't have to have the exact same bid as someone.
Yeah,
But I think, yeah, starting with 5 cents nowadays is probably not going to give you impressions.
yeah, it doesn't work anymore. I, Of course, I still have some old campaigns running, and of course, I keep the ones that are profitable and run in a good way. It wouldn't make any sense to shut these down, but I do this strategy for my new shirts. And so the bids are close match 28 cents, loose match 20 cents, 20
Mm-hmm.
cents, and substitute 10 cents and complements 10 cents.
Mm-hmm. And then the placements.
I don't touch the placements. I
Oh,
just
okay.
leave them like that. Yeah, they are. Yeah, the default is 0%, I think.
And then I'm guessing that's down only.
Yes,
Or
down
yeah,
only. Sorry, yes, down
yeah,
only.
that's the typical setting I think for evergreen for lottery campaigns. Okay, I think that's important to know, and it's similar to my range as well. I use placements, but with if you combine like bid plus placements, I land in the same kind of area when it comes to the bids, average bids at least.
Mm.
Nice. Do you think there's any important advice for Amazon merch that we haven't mentioned yet that you want to share with the world? Or
Yeah, I would say you could say Amazon merch is the business of delayed gratification.
yeah,
It's you put in work, and most of the times, if you don't chase any wild trends or some very dark gray areas, it has to take time to get your shirts ranked and to sell. If you're doing a strategy like I do, and yeah, you just have to keep going, keep learning, and adapt to the new AI tools. Because if you don't do it, I think that's a great mistake because people will do it and you will get kicked out of business if you don't go this route. If you're, at least if you're looking at Amazon merch as a business, if you're doing it just as a hobby to make some money on the side, then yeah, then do what you want.
mm,
But if you're looking at as a business, then you always have to adapt. The AI evolves rapidly, but you have to keep learning and doing it. And I'm also a big fan of testing stuff. Test stuff, see what works for you, what works for your workflow, what works for the time that you want to invest in the business. That's also a big factor. And always and just compare your results to yourself. That's what I would say is really
mm,
important. I know that there are a lot of sellers that are posting their numbers, but when you see them, you basically know nothing. You know nothing. How big is his team? What's his ad spend? Maybe even if you see his the ad spend, he may can drive some traffic to the shirts. He may be in some very dark gray areas,
mm.
or
Or completely infringing, like not even grey, like
yeah, like
just black.
uploading Mickey Mouse or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Mickey Mouse Gucci or some, yeah. You can use it as a motivation, and I
yeah,
also use it as motivation. And but always compare to yourself a year
yeah.
before. Like that's a good approach, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's a nice note to end on because there's two ways you can approach the sales screenshots that you see, right? You can either look at them for motivation of to see what's possible, or you can compare your numbers and feel miserable. And I think a lot of people might fall into that trap of, feeling like they won't reach those sales or like they're putting in all the work, but they're not there yet. But that it doesn't really help you. Like everyone has the same situation. I'm sure you and I, we can still look at other people's numbers that are ahead of us and feel the same way, but that doesn't help our business. There's always going to be a bigger fish.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as long as you're progressing in the business, as long as you're making more sales each year, then you're good. If you see this as a business model.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Daniel, for coming on. That was a very nice insight into your business, into your workflow, very in depth as well. And yeah, appreciate having you on. You have a really great channel, which we'll have a link to down below. Can people reach you anywhere else besides your YouTube channel or learn from you?
I'm in your Discord by my name. They can reach me there, or can just write a nice comment under my videos.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Philip, for having me.
You're welcome. It was great fun.